Let's get into their plan for the actual temporary site. You're talking about this containment liner. They're talking about putting a non-permeable soil underneath it, and then the native soil foundation. Let's point out it's cinder, one of the most permeable soil foundations that there are, which means that it has a high chance of leaking into the groundwater. Let's look at the rest of their model. This is substrate, all of the white area that you see. The red things are pipes for leachate. Leachate meaning if it rains in it, what happens to the water that goes down through it? How are you getting rid of that? So they say they have a system for pumping it. Where are you pumping it to? What is your protocol for that? These are the questions we need to be asking. They are using an 80 mil liner, HDPE, high density polyethylene. Correct us on that. They could be using a PVC liner, which is worse. So if you look at these first maps, we're looking at this area right here. So to put that in the context of what we see in front of us, that is right here. This map does not show that there's a 40 or 50 foot drop straight downhill right here. Where else is it? So it looks like that containment is taking place here. And then what they're digging out, what they show on the next sheet, is where the permanent area will go. And if they're not planning to put the permanent area there, then how come it's already halfway built? The permanent area is what they're working on. So it sounds to me like we need a lot of discussion about this. And why? Why are we worried about the liner leaking? If we're looking at some of the studies that have been done on the liners, they're rated for 100 years under zero stress environment. If you look at this situation, this is nowhere near a zero stress environment. And we have some of the numbers that we're going to share with you. But it says on this one we highlighted here, a zero stress installation is practically impossible to achieve. Wrinkles are unavoidable. So now you're going to go with an 80 mil liner under it, and you're saying that that's going to protect us for 70 years, 100 years. So what's in here? A whole list of things we have here for you. But if we look, which is already confirmed by the state, asbestos, copper, arsenic, dozens of heavy metals. But what we really want to look at, what they're not telling you and you don't see any information on, is let's talk about dioxins. Dioxins are considered to be the most toxic man-made substance and the 5th most toxic naturally occurring compound known to man. Let me just point out PVC. When PVC pipes are burned, they release dioxins, a group of highly toxic compounds that pose significant health stress. They include reproductive, developmental issues, immune system, hormonal influence, cancer. The productions of dioxin is particularly prevalent during the low and incomplete combustion of PVC, which contains high levels of chlorine. Something to be said for that. So is this what we want to put a few hundred yards from the ocean in a super permeable cinder bed? I think that we need to hear from our community about this, and that we all need to make our concerns heard. And it's really important, that meeting on Wednesday and every Wednesday, I think that we need to show up and let people know that there should be better alternatives to this. The EPA is willing to ship all of this material off island. The county has told them that it is the community's will that it stay here for several reasons. Because of EV, bones, and other concerns. I'm not sure what the other concerns are. But if you look at the amount for the potential of that being in the ash, the repercussions of the danger of some of the toxic materials in here far outweigh, in my opinion. But I think this is a discussion for the entire community, so we need to show up. If you feel like I do, if you see the truths in what we're saying, that this needs more community discussion, then let's all get together and make this a call to action to really let your voices be heard and let people know. Are we all right putting something in a containment system that we're saying will last for 70 years? That's not enough. If we look at the numbers and some of the studies done on the PVC liners, I'm going to quote one right here. Of all the liners that have failed in the last 20 years, a very limited numbers of ways, but none have just worn out or generally degraded. And this is where the information comes on, or that they're a 100-year liner. Now, if you really look in this, however, our practical experience with HDPE, 30 years is what it's actually known to. Some say 25 years, some say 10 years. Guess what? They don't give you a 100-year warranty on it. They give you a 25-year warranty on it. And that's because it's based on the practical use. It's also based on the fact that there will be folds. There will be stress on it. I can't think of a more high stress environment to be putting this and trying to protect our natural resources and groundwater. It seems ridiculous to me. So how do we get our community involved? Show up, make your voices heard. This Wednesday at the Civic Center, there's a meeting on it, and we're just going to constantly try to provide information and arm you with the facts.